Welcome to Before AGI. Today we are going to do a deep dive into DeepSeek V3, this AI model that's gotten a lot of attention lately. And we have a ton of material to cover, research papers, articles, first-hand accounts. Should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just the fact that it can go toe-to-toe with models like GPT-4, but with, way less compute power, like 11 times less, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, for sure. And that really opens up the playing field, especially for those who don't have access to these massive, data centers and stuff.
Right, yeah.
So how does it actually work? Like, where do we even begin?
Well, the secret sauce is in the architecture. It's got this really interesting, it's called a mixture of experts approach.
Mixture of experts. Okay.
Yeah, or MOE for short.
Right.
Basically, it's like, imagine you're putting together like a team of specialists. Each one a neural network, but like an expert in something specific.
Okay, so instead of having like one giant network trying to do everything,
Right.
you have all these smaller networks that are kind of like
Exactly.
specialized.
Yeah. And that's how they get this, crazy efficiency.
But how does that actually, how does that translate to efficiency? Like, how does that work?
So when DeepSeek gets a task, it doesn't activate the whole network.
Right.
It only calls on the experts whose skills are actually needed for that specific job. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's avoiding all that extra overhead.
It's like instead of having like one chef try to make, 50 dishes, you have like,
Yeah, a team of chefs.
yeah,
Exactly.
a team of specialized chefs. Like you get the same outcome, but it's much more.
Yeah, and the numbers are really pretty mind-blowing. Like, DeepSeek V3 has 671 billion parameters.
Wow.
But only like 37 billion are active at any given time.
Really?
Yeah, so you can see how that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah,
And
that's a huge difference.
it really shows how clever their resource management is.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, it's kind of like how our brains work too, right? We don't use all of our brain at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
We focus on certain areas depending on the task.
Ex-
But, I mean, is all this efficiency actually translating to real-world performance?
well, yeah, absolutely. DeepSeek V3, it's not just about saving resources, It's about getting results.
Right.
And we've seen it do incredibly well across a lot of different benchmarks. Like, for example, in competitive programming tasks, like where AIs are basically going head-to-head in coding challenges.
So it's like, it's efficient, but it can also
It can hold its own.
it can hold its own against
Yeah.
some pretty stiff competition.
Yeah.
What other areas is it doing well in?
Well, it's showing really strong results in tasks that need like general reasoning and also code integration. So it's not just like a one-trick pony. It's a very versatile tool,
Right.
with a lot of potential applications.
That's super cool. And on top of that, it's crazy fast.
Oh, yeah.
I read that you can process information at like 60 tokens per second. That's 3 times faster than like the previous version. How is that even possible?
So they're using this technique called multi-token prediction, or MTP. And basically traditional models, right, they predict text one word at a time,
Like if you're typing on your phone and it's trying to predict the next word.
Right, exactly. But DeepSeek predicts several words at once. Like it's more like predicting entire phrases. So you can imagine how much faster.
Just like super-powered autocomplete for your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I could see how that would speed up a lot of different tasks.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, text generation, translation, all kinds of stuff. But, all this advanced technology usually comes with a hefty price tag. Like, what about the cost of developing and running DeepSeek?
Yeah, well, this is where things get really interesting. So they trained this model on a massive data set, right? 14.8 trillion tokens.
Okay.
And they did it in just 2 months using a data center with over 2,000 GPUs.
Well, okay, that's a lot of processing power. What was the price tag on that?
$5.5 million.
What?
Yeah. Now compare that to the estimated 100 million
Yeah.
that it took to train GPT-4.
Right. That's unbelievable.
And you can see why everyone's so excited about this. It's not just powerful, it's remarkably cost-effective.
To put that in perspective, you could train a model almost as powerful as GPT-4 for less than the cost of like a luxury apartment in some cities.
Exactly.
That's mind-blowing. And it's not just the training cost, right?
Right.
What about the cost of actually using DeepSeek?
That's another area where it really shines. It's significantly cheaper to use than models like Claude 3.5 or GPT-4o.
How much cheaper are we talking about here?
Some sources are saying it could be up to 53 times cheaper.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a game changer, especially for businesses and developers who, want to use AI but without breaking the bank.
Right. So we've got efficiency, performance, and affordability.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one more thing that really sets DeepSeek apart, and that's accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't some like exclusive club, right?
No. DeepSeek is fully open source. The code is available on GitHub. Model waits on Hugging Face.
So anyone with, the skills and resources
Hmm.
could potentially, tinker with it, adapt it, even build on it. That's a huge departure from I don't know what you call it, the walled gardens.
Yeah.
We see so much in AI. What does that level of accessibility mean for AI development?
I think it's a huge deal. Researchers who couldn't afford to experiment with cutting-edge AI now have this powerful tool at their disposal.
And startups can innovate.
Exactly.
Developers can build new applications.
Yeah, without the massive financial burden and without being locked into some proprietary system.
I mean, it could really lead to just this, like an explosion of creativity and innovation.
Absolutely.
In the AI space. This open source approach also I feel like it adds a level of transparency that's often lacking in AI,
Mm-hmm.
with the code available publicly. Anyone can scrutinize it, right?
Yeah.
Identify potential biases,
Yeah.
contribute to making the model safer, more robust.
Yeah, for sure. It really fosters this sense of, shared ownership
Right.
and responsibility.
It's not just one company dictating how this powerful tool should be used.
Exactly.
It's like, a community
Right.
working together to make sure that its benefits are maximized and the risks are minimized.
Exactly.
It's like having a global team of experts
Yeah.
constantly, reviewing and improving the code,
Mm.
making sure it's used ethically responsibly. But we should also be realistic, right? I mean, while all this sounds really promising, I'm sure there are some limitations that we need to
Oh,
consider.
of course, yeah. No technology is perfect.
Yeah.
And DeepSeek is no exception.
Right.
We'll dive into those limitations a little bit more, but first I think we need to shift gears a bit and talk about how DeepSeek is being used in the real world.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it's being applied to everything from coding and math to text processing, even creative writing.
Yeah, and I think what's really fascinating is how it's being used to generate web-based content.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if you could just describe the website you want, and the AI just generates the code for you.
Oh, that would be a game changer.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
It'd be like having a personal web developer just like at your fingertips.
Exactly. And it's not just about static websites either. DeepSeek can also generate interactive elements. So you can create these really engaging, dynamic web experiences with very minimal effort.
I mean, it's just incredible. I can see this being used by businesses, educators,
Right.
artists, anyone who wants to have a presence online but maybe doesn't have the, coding skills to build it themselves. What other applications are you excited about?
Well, its web searching capabilities are pretty cool. Like, it can pull near real-time info from all over the web,
Okay.
and it can even tell you the sources it used. So it's like having this super-powered research assistant.
It's like having a personal knowledge navigator
Yeah.
that's constantly scanning the web
Yep.
for the information you need.
Yeah.
And then presenting it to you in this clear and concise way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man, I can see that be super useful for students,
Mm.
researchers, journalists, anyone who needs to gather information
Oh, yeah,
quickly and accurately.
for sure.
And let's not forget about, its potential for creative writing.
Yeah,
I mean, it might not be writing the next great novel yet,
right.
but it can generate stories, poems, even scripts.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a huge help for,
Yeah.
helping writers overcome writer's block
Yeah,
or just giving them a spark of inspiration.
absolutely.
This kind of makes me think back to what we were talking about earlier
Yeah.
about how DeepSeek was primarily trained on Chinese text and code. Do you think that influences its creative writing style at all?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's definitely possible that, its output might reflect certain stylistic elements or storytelling traditions that are common in Chinese literature.
So it's not just generating creative text in general, it's generating creative text with like
Yeah.
a uniquely Chinese
Yeah, a certain flavor.
flavor. That could lead to some really interesting and unexpected results.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
this idea of, AI expanding our creative horizons
Yeah.
is really exciting. It's like having a collaborator from a completely different cultural background, offering fresh perspectives, challenging our assumptions about, what's possible in storytelling.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah.
And DeepSeek has also shown some really promising results in competitive programming, right? It's even outperforming some of the well-established models. I remember reading about his performance on these coding challenges. What does that mean for software development? Like, what are the implications of that?
Well, imagine a world where AI can help programmers write code, find bugs,
Mm.
even suggest optimizations. I mean, this could really speed up the development process, reduce errors, and ultimately lead to more efficient and reliable software.
It's like having an AI pair programmer
Right.
that's constantly working alongside the human developers to
Exactly.
enhance their productivity and creativity. That could totally revolutionize the way software is built.
Absolutely. And as models like DeepSeek continue to evolve, we can expect to see, even more sophisticated applications in fields like software development, web design, creative writing. It's really exciting to think about.
Yeah. DeepSeek is definitely pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI. But what about the bigger picture? Like, what are the long-term implications of this technology for society as a whole?
Well, that's a really important question. And I think it's one that we need to spend some time thinking about. So
Okay,
why don't we take a little break? And then we'll come back and we'll dive into some of those bigger picture questions.
sounds good to me.
All right. While DeepSeek V3 is really shaking things up, especially with, how affordable and accessible it is, we have to remember that it's still a product of its environment.
What do you mean by that?
Well, DeepSeek was developed in China, right?
Hmm.
And just like any AI model, it kind of reflects the context that it was created in.
So you're talking about the fact that it was trained on a massive data set of Chinese text and code.
Exactly. And that makes it incredibly powerful for tasks that are, related to the Chinese language and cultural context.
Right.
But it also means that, its knowledge and understanding of other languages and cultures might be a little bit limited.
So it's like having this brilliant scholar who's an expert in, ancient Chinese literature, but maybe they haven't had as much exposure to Shakespeare or modern American poetry.
That's a great analogy. It's not that DeepSeek V3 can't handle other languages or cultures.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that its strengths and limitations are shaped by its training data,
Right.
So that's just something to keep in mind when you're evaluating its performance and potential applications.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a good reminder that AI models aren't neutral or objective.
Yeah, right.
They carry the imprints of the data that they're trained on. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about how DeepSeek is actually being used in the real world. I've heard it's being applied to a wide range of tasks, from coding and math to text processing and even creative writing.
It's a pretty versatile tool. One area where it's showing a lot of promise is in generating web-based content. Like imagine being able to just describe the website you want
Uh-huh.
and having an AI like DeepSeek just generate the code for you.
Wow, that would be a game changer. For anyone who's ever struggled with website design or, coding, it's like having a personal web developer
Mm.
right at your fingertips.
Exactly. And it's not just about creating those like static websites either. DeepSeek can generate interactive elements too. So you can really create some engaging and dynamic web experiences with minimal effort.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I can see this being used by businesses, educators, artists, really anyone who wants to create an online presence without having to learn, complex coding languages.
Mm.
What other real-world applications are you excited about?
Well, its web searching capabilities are pretty impressive.
Okay.
Like it can pull near real-time information from all over the internet, and it can even show you the sources that it used.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a super-powered research assistant.
Yeah, it's like having a personal knowledge navigator
Hmm.
that's constantly scanning the web for the
Yeah.
information you need and then presenting it to you in a really, clear, concise way.
Exactly.
Students, researchers, journalists, anyone who needs to gather information quickly and accurately would really benefit from that.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about its potential for creative writing. Now, it might not be writing the next great novel just yet,
Right.
but it can generate stories, poems, even scripts,
Right.
So it can be a great tool for helping writers to overcome writer's block
Right.
or just, give them a spark of inspiration.
This reminds me of something we talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
about how DeepSeek was primarily trained on Chinese text and code. Do you think that influences its creative writing style at all?
That's a really interesting question. It's definitely possible that its output might reflect some of the, stylistic elements or storytelling traditions that are common in Chinese literature.
So it might not just be generating creative text in general. It might
Yeah.
be generating creative text with almost like
A uniquely Chinese.
a uniquely Chinese flavor.
A flavor, yeah.
I mean, that could lead to some really interesting and unexpected results.
Could, absolutely.
It's almost like AI is not just assisting us with creative tasks,
Yeah.
but it's also kind of introducing us to these new forms of expression and storytelling. that we might not have encountered otherwise.
Yeah, that's a really great point. It speaks to the transformative potential of AI when it's used not just as a tool, but as like a partner in exploration and discovery. But let's not overlook some of the more practical applications too. Like DeepSeek V3 has also shown really promising results in competitive programming, you know? It's even outperforming some of the well-established models out there.
That's right. I remember reading about its performance on those coding challenges. What are the implications of that for the field of software development?
Well, imagine a world where AI can help programmers with writing code, finding bugs, even suggesting optimizations. This could significantly speed up the development process, reduce errors, and lead to more efficient and reliable software.
It's like having an AI pair programmer
Right.
constantly working alongside the human developers to enhance their productivity and creativity.
Exactly.
And that could revolutionize the way that software is built.
It really could. And as models like DeepSeek continue to evolve, we can expect to see even more sophisticated applications in fields like software development, web design, and creative writing. It's a really exciting time to be following this technology.
It's clear that DeepSeek V3 is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI, both in terms of its technical capabilities and its real-world applications. But what about the bigger picture? What are the long-term implications of this technology for society as a whole? That's something we'll explore further after a short break. Okay, so we've talked a lot about DeepSeek, its architecture, the different applications, its low-cost, open-source nature. But what does it all really mean? What are the big implications of this technology, for the long term?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? I mean, I think DeepSeek really offers us a glimpse into this future where AI is just more accessible,
Yeah.
more affordable, and ultimately more integrated into our lives.
It's kind of like the early days of, personal computers,
Yeah.
where something that was once like exclusive to, research labs and universities
Yeah.
suddenly becomes available to, everyday people.
Right.
And then you saw this explosion of creativity and innovation.
Yeah.
Do you think we're on the verge of something similar with AI?
I think it's definitely possible. I mean, the open source nature of DeepSeek, the efficiency, the affordability, these all lower the barriers to entry
Right.
for AI development, for experimentation.
Yeah.
So, we could start to see all these new ideas and applications and solutions coming from all these unexpected places.
I mean, it's like democratizing access to these powerful tools,
Yeah,
which can be a double-edged sword,
it is.
right? On one hand, it empowers,
Yep.
individuals, small organizations
Yeah.
to, participate in the AI revolution. But on the other hand, there are some concerns about misuse.
Absolutely. As AI becomes more powerful and more accessible, we absolutely have to have these open and honest conversations about the ethical implications, about the potential risks.
Right.
We need to be thinking about how to ensure that these tools are used responsibly and for the benefit of society.
Yeah, it's like we almost need like a new set of digital ethics,
Yeah.
like a framework for how to navigate this, uncharted territory
Yeah.
of this rapidly evolving technology.
I agree. And it can't just be one company or one government dictating those rules. It has to be a collaborative effort.
Right.
Involving, developers, researchers, policymakers, the public.
We all need to be involved.
Absolutely.
Well, DeepSeek has given us a lot to think about. It's a really powerful reminder that we're living in this time of just incredible technological change. And the future holds, both challenges and opportunities. But one thing is for sure, AI is going to play a major role in shaping our world.
Yeah, and ultimately how it shapes that world is really going to depend on the choices that we make today. It's up to all of us to engage in these discussions, to promote responsible development, and to ensure that AI is used for good.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of DeepSeek V3.
It was a pleasure.
It's been an enlightening conversation, and I hope you've come away with a better understanding of this groundbreaking model and its potential impact on the future. And for those who want to learn more, be sure to check out the links in the show notes. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to Before AGI for more deep dives into the world of artificial intelligence. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep questioning.